This is Founders Games Metaverse Rounds.
Welcome to the Founders Games.
The biggest growth stage challenge on the planet with $6 million award. The collective intelligence of 250 VC investors evaluated over 3,000 applications of growth stage companies. Only 60 made it to this third round.
Thrilled to be here. So great to be a part of Webital.
All of them are superheroes. They are saving the future of the humankind by generating social and environmental impact through their exponentially growing innovative businesses. Welcome to the better future. Founders Game starts now.
Hello and welcome everyone to the Founders Games third round, when we are going to be talking about media and entertainment. Today I'm joined by some great investors. Allow me to bring them from all around the world and to invite them to our jury. I would like to start with an old friend of mine. I know him since he was at EBRD. Currently he's partner at Molten Ventures, Bakhrom, Ibragimov. Hello, Bakhrom. Share something that people do not know about Molten.
Molten invests across all the sectors, starting from Series A to growth equity and pan-European fund, and kind of actively involved helping companies to go after their dreams.
Thank you so much. And I have a pleasure now to welcome also Peter Vanbekbergen, co-founder of imec.xpand. Please tell us more about imec.xpand.
Thanks for having me here. Real honor to be here. imec.xpand is a deep tech investment fund which doesn't shy away from technology risk. So we do early seed investments, but also follow-on investments in deep tech companies that make a link to imec technology. imec is a deep tech nanotechnology research institute located in Belgium.
Thank you so much, Peter. And another long-term friend, Vinay Solanki. He runs corporate VC for a media company that invests in consumer-facing startups alongside other investors. Channel 4 remains exceptionally differentiated TV network globally with uniquely and young viewer profile. Vinay, such a pleasure to have you with us. Please tell us more about Channel 4 Ventures and what our viewers should know.
Well, I think when people are scaling up consumer-facing companies, they often overlook the mainstream reach of certain channels, and that's the right thing to do for many startups. But I would probably say that what we found very successful is the combination of capital, digital marketing, and awareness marketing, which we can provide, has been quite successful, and that's the UK market is a very attractive market for the gaming and general media consumption, and we are a completely active fund right now, so we are continuing to invest, and I'm hoping to close 2 deals before the year end and hopefully see out this cycle that we're in. So I'm dead excited to be here. Thank you again, Plamen, for inviting me to this.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Vinay. True pleasure and gratitude to have all of you as part of this jury panel on media and entertainment. I can't think of better ones. So great to be together. And a few words about me and Webit. I am representing Webit Investment Network, evergreen investment vehicle with tickets up to 2.5 million, adding the synergy and the impact of Webit global network on the top of our investments. And of course, running the part of this wonderful opportunity called Founders Games, where we select the best of the best founders in 17 different verticals out of 3,000 applications, and then 5 make it to the finals for not only for the award, but for the opportunity to be named Founders Games finalists.
Thank you, Dr. Russev. As your AI co-host, it's my pleasure to introduce the rules before we move on to the first founder. As your AI co-host, it's my pleasure to introduce the rules before we move on to the first founder. As your AI co-host, it's my pleasure to introduce the rules before we move on to the first founder. As your AI co-host, it's my pleasure to introduce the rules before we move on to the first founder. As your AI co-host, it's my pleasure to introduce the rules before we move on to the first founder. As your AI co-host, it's my pleasure to introduce the rules before we move on to the first founder. As your AI co-host, it's my pleasure to introduce the rules before we move on to the first founder. As your AI co-host, it's my pleasure to introduce the rules before we move on to the first founder. As your AI co-host, it's my pleasure to introduce the rules before we move on to the first founder. As your AI co-host, it's my pleasure to introduce the rules before we move on to the first founder. As your AI co-host, it's my pleasure to introduce the rules before we move on The jury shall evaluate the top companies in this vertical and shall select a winner against 6 equally important criteria. 1. Business model scalability, market adoption and timing. 2. Uniqueness of the idea. 3. Team capacity. 4. Funding and financing. 5. Leadership and personal qualities. And 6. Impact factor. Is the company generating social and environmental change? Each criteria brings up to 10 points, so the maximum a company can get from each jury member is 60 points. Only 5 of the semi-finalists shall reach to the final round and win a share of a $6 million award. Let the Founders Games begin.
Participant number 1.
Hi, welcome. We're from Tennessee Sports. My name is Alexandra.
Hello, my name is Gregory.
All right. Well, it's not one, but 2 co-founders we have today in our backstage. Hello, Alexandra and Gregory. We have only one, but it's a superpower avatar, so hopefully it will represent both of you in the best possible way in our metaverse. Now, we are all waiting for you to start presenting your company in front of the jury.
$60 seconds, pitch starting now.
To $10,000. Johnson. Then engage some of them.
So the Tennis Esports Cup is the latest preview into the future of VR tennis as a virtual sport.
The only VR tennis app that features global online match play in the form of VR esports and immersive biometric analysis that tracks and guides tennis technique. And we're part of the largest sports and growing markets globally. Tennis, the 4th largest sport in the world, esports growing at almost 20% year on year, and VR, where tech giants continue to invest heavily in hardware and software.
Ready for Q&A.
What is kind of user retention? If you could comment on that. What's the retention and how often users are using it? How long users continue using the app?
The official launch of the app will be in May 23. Right now it's on a huge beta test. We have around about 10,000 downloads and we have hundreds, I would say thousands of players playing it already in a beta test, also with the Tennis Esports Cup. So that's where we are. And people, play regularly on a weekly basis.
How do you measure satisfaction rate today? What's the right KPI for you? Is there some kind of target level of engagement in terms of number of games, number or time spent in the game? What is the right metric that would tell you that users are enjoying the game?
On our Oculus App Lab, we have ratings where people leave their ratings to just like any kind of 5-star review. We have an average of 4.6. We also record feedback via Discord, and the average time spent on the application would be in a range of 30 minutes to 1 hour, depending on the application that they use, whether it's a match or whether it's an arcade version.
Obviously, this is much more advanced than the Nintendo games or other similar types of setups. But on the other hand, I cannot imagine that it really fully copies the real tennis experience, because some of the, sensors and actuators cannot really represent a tennis game. How will this influence the adoption of this type of setup?
Yep, so with the more affordable VR applications or VR hardware, just like the Oculus Quest, we are definitely limited by the potential and the tracking ability of them. We were previously on the HTC Vive, where you could track your full body with more cameras. However, we are doing our best to be ready for both. We have the biometric and full body tracking ready to go. However, once technology catches up, we're ready for full body motion tracking with a more affordable device.
But also, I mean, the sense for the ball hitting the racket.
Yeah.
I guess that cannot be recreated, right?
So we've got a 3D printed racket handle, and we're working on replicating the haptic feedback, so you get that sensation of actually hitting the ball through your hand. As an ex-professional tennis player myself, I can say that we test every day. That's part of my job, to make sure that all the spins, all the speeds, and even the strokes are replicated as well. And that's part of the technical analysis piece that we do.
How comfortable are you with the Oculus VR ecosystem, and how dependent are you on, its onward penetration? How big a risk is that for you?
It's certainly a challenge to launch at the start, given that it's not an at-home device yet. That's why our main target markets in the initial interim period are universities and high schools, where there's a high likely chance that they are going to be purchasing it for multi-use educational purposes. And secondly, they are fully fledged and organized in the growing market that is esports. Now, what is helping me sleep at night as well is that Apple has announced the development of VR as well in terms of headsets. Meta are also progressing quite strongly, and there are a number, at least 10, I would say, headsets that are being, developed at the moment in terms of hardware. At the same time, prices are also going down, so you'll see that even HTC, who are probably the most high-tech devices, have reduced their prices. Meta are still navigating into the business environment for VR, and I think that that's just a barrier to overcome in the initial interim period. But I think we fit in well, as our target market is universities and high schools, and we can kind of grow together in terms of our product market fit, as well as tennis esports in general. So by the time that they're adults and they can afford it, they'll be very, very used to tennis esports and VR.
Is it arcade or is it hyper real? Well, and how would schools feel about it being an arcade game?
Great question. So we do have different modes, right? So when I mean arcade, we have a fully, a tennis court that doesn't look like a tennis court. It's an arcade target game. It's available for single player mode, but our main feature is esports and global live match play, and that is aiming at simulating tennis as much as possible. So you will have an advantage if you have played tennis before. And with our biometric analysis, that is also a beginner tennis lesson, basically. So once you get to a certain stage of our application, you will then be ready to hopefully try yourself out on the tennis court. So from all the spins and speeds and the strokes as well.
So would I be running, the several meters in order to?
So you can. Sorry to cut you off. You can also choose that, right, based on the Oculus Guardian, typically that we're on at the moment. You can choose your space. So you can play from home and be stationary, but you can also choose what's called a running mode, where you can take up to, say, a squash court space, a few meters.
I see that your business model comes with downloads. So it's a $30 per download, and then you're using the hardware as it is. You're not doing any hardware improvements to what currently you have integration with Oculus App, right?
Yes.
Correct. Yep. So it would be the download and essentially developing the application to formulate in-app purchases for different types of apparel, and partnering with sponsors for those kind of equipment and digital equipment. We also have that 3D printed racket handle as well, which we are developing to sell, but that would be in partnership with other production companies too. We're mainly focusing on being the software developer.
Can you give us an idea of what kind of in-app purchases are you planning to have within the app?
Yep, sure. So with our tennis development, it would be, say, a masterclass or a celebrity 101 on a forehand. You could be purchasing different types of digital equipment, such as rackets or different types of apparel and shoes. And at the same time, there would be also within esports, different types of entry fees and recurring tournaments.
One-on-one, you mean two-person playing together, or you're going to be having a pre-recorded or AI characters? What kind of one-on-one?
That's a great question for both, actually. So what we have is live match play right now. So 1v1, I've got a headset, you've got a headset. We can meet on a virtual court, no matter where we are in the world. And secondly, we do have a CPU avatar who will be able to be played against by anyone. Hopefully, that would be potentially a paid version of being able to replicate some of the pros or previous pros based on big data.
Presumably the use case is getting better playing in the real world, right? If so, do you have already some data in terms of improved skills?
I would say not yet. So the main use case as well is actually our main focus is the esports or the VR esports. Okay. That would be the lowest hanging fruit for us, as we're creating a competition based on our live matches. The next iteration or the next progression would be to start to demonstrate improvement of tennis and tennis skills. So teaching beginners how to play tennis and providing access to tennis courts and tennis play where that might not necessarily be available. There might not necessarily be enough space.
How important is it to have a good number of players, simultaneous players, you think?
Just to play one match, you only need one other person to have a VR headset. And so with a league, for example, we're experimenting with teams of 3. And they would be, tournaments could be run a lot faster than a typical tennis tournament as well. And also that hybrid format of tournaments where the lead-up tournaments would be virtual, and finals events would be held in person at physical tennis tournaments or any kind of event.
I wanted to understand a little bit more about the development time, because I think you're just testing right now. How concerned are you? What are your main challenges as you're developing something that's never been developed before in a medium that's never really been, there's still very few use cases out there, I think, in the systems you're operating in. What keeps you up at night, and how worried are you?
Yeah, no, I guess it helps me sleep at night is that the fact that the software is only going to get better. So the product is only going to get better. I think to answer the question about the use case or the test of market fit, we do start out with brand activations, and that's the main part of our marketing. So we have been at the US Open, which is one of the largest tennis events in the world, sponsored by Wilson, the largest tennis sporting good in the world. And so the thing that helps me sleep at night is that our product is only going to get better. The challenge and the main challenge is trying to get as close as possible to reality with an affordable device. That's probably the main thing, or the timing of everything, I would say.
I wonder whether, the thing I think about this, and having not used it, is do you need to get it super real? I wonder if you're trying to do too much. If you get it to a point where it's just fun, it works, you could hit a few shots, I can see how sponsors, brands would use this in live event situation.
Definitely.
In corporate entertainment. I see real use cases in immersive around, and not the direct to consumer, but particularly around events. And I wonder whether your target at the beginning should be just fun, addictive.
Oh yeah.
That's happening already. So we are at corporate accounts, we are at events. People are using it, people are playing it, people are having fun. There's a training factor attached to it, but the entertainment part is much, much bigger. So people are playing and they're having fun and they're using it. And we are creating the Tennis Esports League by next year. And our next milestone is basically to get on the Oculus Store in April. So we have distribution and we can basically scale the product.
We're creating competition, we're creating recurring visits, we're creating a reason for people to come back. And that's also reflected in their, web profiles that they will have as well. So you'll be getting different badges, different types of digital apparel as well. And that's part of the whole experience. But at the same time, we are at a level now of our development where it is fun to play a VR tennis match, and it is exciting, and it is going to be, shown and streamed online, so you'll be able to have fun not only playing the application but also being a part of the community.
How is a typical game? So how have you adapted the kind of 3 or 5 set model for fun?
Definitely. Yep. So our games are 10-point tie breaks, and that's done by an umpire who tells you you're doing really well. That's scored automatically. You've got voice chat as well inside your match, so you can chat with your opponent. And by the time we launch, you'll be able to get, as a spectator as well, different perspectives. Is also encouraged directly, just like any kind of, imagine a YouTube live commentary box where you're liking the comments, or you're making and leaving comments of encouragement.
Do you currently have any revenue?
Yes, we're selling downloads already on the applet. We're getting sponsorships in. We're selling our product at corporate accounts, at events. So we are starting. We're having revenues. Yes.
The moment of truth. Direct feedback from the jury.
It looks great as a product. I find it really is a great opportunity. As a tennis player myself, I would love to play and to be able to train at home. I like your straightforward targeting. This is a very clear market set. Obviously, a lot of businesses are targeting it, but that's a fast-moving and growing target. So it's great opportunity if you can convert them into esport tennis players.
I think a lot of the applications would need to go into the virtual world. I think the one kind of comment I would just probably it would help you to really define your persona. What is actually your target persona, target demographics? I'm not sure that would be the real kind of hardcore tennis players, right? So, and that's probably, defining persona probably would kind of help you to really focus on that use case, and as well as lead you through the customer acquisition, customer experience, kind of product development.
Scalability is very, very important. Fast growth and easy growth, where I guess people affect each other to start using the game in an easy way, is very important and should be the prime source of revenue.
I think you'll figure out the business model over time. I can see a role for an upfront purchase, a license fee or ongoing license fee. In-app purchases I completely buy. I think you'll get some sponsorship. I'm really unclear though, one of the points I made is this feels like it's more fun than a real hyper-real project, and I think it should be super clear. I don't believe universities are going to pay for arcade products. Consumers might and brands might, but I just don't see why anyone in the sporting establishment would do that.
Now you will see scoring from one anonymous jury member, just to see how the 6 factors that we are scoring are actually creating your final score. Thank you again.
Participant number 2.
Let's have a look who is with us in the backstage.
Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Susan. I'm one of the 4 co-founders of Holo-Light, and I'm looking forward to introduce you to Holo-Light.
Well, Susan, wonderful to have you with us in at Founders Games Metaverse rounds. And let's give you this superpower avatar, which will take you downstairs and pitch in front of the jury.
"60 seconds pitch starting now."
At Holo-Light, we are unleashing the potential of XR. With our platform XR Now, you can step into the most powerful immersive streaming platform, overcoming the limitations of XR. Limited processing power versus huge data, or also the missing centralized platforms, or especially in the enterprise areas, the security issues and concerns of the IT security departments. Therefore, our platform XR Now, the business-ready industrial metaverse, can be launched on any server infrastructure, either cloud or on-premise servers, to deal with the needs of our customers. And from there, all XR applications and data can be streamed as a pixel stream to end-to-end devices like HoloLens 2, MetaQuest 2, iOS or Android devices. We are currently a team of about 70 people based in Austria, Germany, and also the first few salespeople in the US. And we are currently at 2.2 million euros ARR, based on a license and SaaS model for our streaming platform. With that, we are currently supporting more than 100 industrial customers in Europe, the US, and Asia.
Ready for Q&A.
Can you just talk through a little bit of a typical use case? I know you've got some information in the deck, but why are the customers, I think you used BMW, why are they coming back for more? What's really happening there?
So for example, BMW has several use cases. One of them is an engineering and prototyping use case. So just imagine they are building lots of prototypes for each new car type. So instead of building each of them, they are using directly the 3D data in AR and VR for visualization and the design reviews. But as a CAD file of a whole car can barely lift up your laptop based on the power it pushes through your computer, it's never running on a mobile device like a HoloLens. Also, the security people won't be happy if you put, for example, a new design file on a mobile device anybody can carry out of your building. So therefore, they have everything stored on their server and stream it only to the mobile device. The device itself, it's just a client who gets a pixel stream and therefore basically is kind of stupid. So if anybody steals a device, they stole the device, but no data at all.
How many of your clients are kind of increasing usage or spend through the platform at the moment versus how many are not using and you're worried about not?
So basically all of our bigger customers, so all the big names you also have in our deck, are currently increasing their use cases. So especially right now, as we are speaking, our salespeople are in intense conversations with several of our customers to increase their number of licenses and to increase their usage, also for the budgeting for the next year.
How easy is the sales cycle?
It depends really from customer to customers. So in average, we would say usually it's between 6 to 9 months. But we also had customers who already had the devices registered in their IT systems, and they were just waiting for the technology, which enabled them to directly jump on it and were way faster.
Okay. Who are your competition?
Basically, if you would compare us to general streaming in AR and VR, that would be Microsoft with Azure Remote Rendering and NVIDIA with Cloud XR. But Azure Remote Rendering is basically a rendering service for single models, which is targeting a different use case, so we don't have touch points with them here. And NVIDIA with Cloud XR is also focusing on the VR side, so they have pushed HoloLens and AR devices from their support, and they're focusing, from our point of view, it seems a lot on their GPU side and on a different market area than we are doing.
How big's your dev team?
Our dev team currently is around 38 people.
Can you give some idea in terms of the level of activity currently on the platform? Like how many users, what is the usage? How many applications has been developed? How many of them are active? Kind of just some idea in terms of the activity on the platform.
It's not just one platform, for clarification. Usually our customers, as most of them have sensible data, have their own platform of ours in their own setup. So there are several platforms out there. So there's the BMW platform and different customers' platforms. But for example, to just take one of our biggest customers, they are currently having more than 100 different AR and VR projects in daily usage, with more than 1,000 users of AR and VR across their company.
What would be the kind of actual number of users across your customers, approximately?
Our active users should be around a couple hundreds up to 1,000, something around that.
And number of applications that have been developed?
There should be around 50 different applications currently out there.
Have you considered, is that the type of product that would benefit to be open source?
Later on, when going into areas of B2C, it would be an option, but especially right now, as it's also focused a lot into B2B option, it's not the right time for us, but in the future, it would be an option for B2C.
Because the product itself is both a development toolkit, right? And also a deployment, or orchestration solution, right? So presumably the idea should be that you want to have as many developers as possible writing applications that should benefit from the open source business model. No, you haven't thought about that?
Yeah, we have thought about it, but as said, currently with the B2B approach, we've experienced some of our customers a bit stepping back from open source approaches, and for B2B, it seems for us it's still a bit better to stay in the licensed SaaS approach, but with the B2C, if the market gets stronger, it's definitely an option to rethink it again.
I got a little bit puzzled here. You mentioned that you're at around 1,000 customers, but
100 customers. Sorry.
Oh, 100.
Use this word. Yeah.
In that regards, I'll be interested actually to understand a little bit more about your growth strategy and the history so far. So you've been founded back in 2015, which makes you almost 7-year-old company. Your rounds, though, are happening just now, 2020, 2021. At least this is the information we have provided from you. So what was the story of your development, and what's the current growth that you are experiencing year on year?
We originally directly started in 2015 when we came across one of the first press releases from HoloLens. And we directly started at this time working with industry customers. We were 4 students at the time, so we had to do POCs and all kind of demos to keep above the bad numbers, basically, to stay alive. And with that approach, we figured out the data consumption and the processing power of the devices was basically always the showstopper. So we came directly from that approach and solve that problem basically while walking hand in hand with our customers. So a couple of our customers who are still with us today were directly with us in the beginning and kind of were the first testers and the first test drones for us to see if our approach works in their network, works with their problem. And speaking about growth, we currently definitely can't complain. We started in 2015, of course, at that time, the devices were not that popular and not that spread much. But right now, market is pushing along very, very much. We all see it with our partners like AWS, Qualcomm, and Microsoft, who are all pushing now strongly into that direction. And therefore, we are growing strongly here, also pushing into new markets. We have just opened our US office with sales and also got from the US guys who were just hired the first sales.
I think, at least from my perspective, scalability will be the major challenge and actually moving to profitability. So from that perspective, can you give me some insights on how you see the cost of customer acquisition evolving over time? Because I think at this moment, whenever you have a new customer or a new project within an existing customer, probably this takes a lot of special service work in order to enable them. And how do you see this evolving, and how much of that work can be reused for a new customer so that your, let's say, COCA goes down and you can move to profitability and while scaling the company?
Yes, currently there is still a lot of support on our side needed for new customers to onboard them and to set up the infrastructure on their side. Therefore, we have really small integrations teams who is dealing with customers so they can help directly on site if needed or support them as much as possible. What we see as Microsoft did us a huge favor by cutting the support of Windows XP people are now transitioning or forced to transition to newer systems, which reduces the workload enormously, to be honest. So therefore, it's getting better on that side. And we've set up the strategy, which is also already now starting a bit to, especially for smaller customers, push them more towards cloud servers, as there we can set up once the instances with a standard setup, and then they are ready to go and easy to go, and do the bigger on-prem setups, mainly for bigger enterprises, where also the invest versus revenue ratio looks better.
So by when do you think you will have a new customer acquisition that will be profitable?
We think it's getting better by year, but general profitability should be around 25, 26 around. So a couple of years still to go, but we're getting there.
You're in an open round right now. How much are you looking at raising? What are you going to use the money for?
So we're currently looking for in total 15 million euros. Usage of this money will mainly be sales and marketing to push towards new markets, especially now with the step towards US. That's a big topic for us. And a small part is also still in the tech area, as now more and more devices are pushing into the market. We are evaluating them, of course, and as soon we see from our customers the pull that they want to use these devices and they are willing to use these devices, we have to onboard them and develop the client applications for them.
The moment of truth. Direct feedback from the jury.
There's some things I like here. The first thing I'd say, it reminds me a little bit of Wix for the internet, and I can clearly see some use cases, but there's a couple of things I really worry about on this one. I think your sales cycle and finding the people will be really hard, and I don't know who these people are. It's going to vary by company to company, and I can see all kinds of internal reasons why you might have concerns putting this sort of information onto a third-party service. So there's a massive credibility question I have, but I'm concerned about the niche use case, the possible alternatives, including in-house alternatives. Reduce your TAM. In your paper, you haven't included the total addressable market, and I don't know how you measure that. I think these are the things that worry me a lot here. I think also, given the relative size of the contract and the difficulty of the sales process and finding the right people, I wonder if the economics will be a little bit unattractive to certain investors, because it's a hard sales process with a possibly niche use case. BMW is great because you're getting into the $500,000 million a client, but lots of clients I worry will be much smaller. Can you make money out of that? It's imperative you have a journey on how your acquisition costs look right now. I think the numbers can be ignored initially a bit, but given your ambition, it's really important you have a strategy there. I'm massively concerned about the negative cash flows, but as I said, there's a big positive in there. We started like this, and it's listed on Nasdaq.
Definitely interesting space, and you must have something very unique, given the same BMW case. But I just do not understand how. Why I do not get my head around your average revenue. Probably there must be a mix of different use cases. Some are strategic use cases, others are not so, and that's something that I think would be great to understand.
I share the concerns of the other investors, and my suggestion would be, or at least I have a sense that maybe you have to learn to say no to certain customers and only pick the strategic cases which have the highest potential for scalability and recurring revenue with the least amount of support.
If I'm scoring a company 3-year-old, I would say you're doing an amazing job. But if I'm scoring 7-year-old company, there are a lot of things to say about the efficiency of how you've reached up to this level. And then from a VC point of view, I would ask myself the question, do I have the time to wait
this team, this company, and this otherwise very interesting product to scale faster? And can I help that scalability? Now you will see scoring from one anonymous jury member.
Participant number 3.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jonathan, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Spree Interactive. So,
hello, Jonathan. It's a pleasure to have you with us. Now, first, before you start presenting your company, we need to put a special superpower suit, which will help you come to the jury and present your company now.
$60 pitch starting now.
We're creating the next generation entertainment platform for the generation Alpha, so the people born 2010 and later, for out-of-home and in-home. This year we are on track to reach 4.5 million euros revenue with over 85 systems installed globally. We have a B2B2C approach. That means we sell our VR entertainment systems to theme parks, shopping malls, family entertainment centers, and then they offer it to their guests. So combined 2 million plays, which on average is a €5 ticket, so 10 million revenue for our B2B clients. And we are raising a Series A of 12 million, and we're using this for exactly two purposes. One is to keep being the market leader, the global market leader in the out-of-home entertainment space. And the second one is to expand into in-home, just because in 2 years' time there will be a major inflection point where VR shipments are outpacing the combined console shipments, and that means VR is truly mainstream. And as Activision Blizzard is a major player in the old platforms like PC, console and mobile, we would like to become that new player in the new platforms like VR and AR.
Ready for Q&A.
I do understand the concept of in-mall, let's say, gaming, and why those B2B customers are establishing this, but it's harder for me to understand how that will move to in-home gaming, and how that and how you will avoid a very strong competition there.
We are the world leader when it comes to out-of-home entertainment, and when we started our company 5 years ago, we did so because our belief was that the VR headsets, the hardware, was not ready for mass market. So what everyone looks in this industry is the iPhone moment, basically some device which will break through and will change the platform forever, as the iPhone did with smartphones. This iPhone moment has not been in VR so far. We think Quest 2 from Meta is close to it. Apple might be again the player who will do the iPhone moment. That means so far we're basically providing VR as a service. So with the thinking that nobody wants to own a premature smartphone, call it in the VR sense, but you rather have it as a service. However, once this iPhone moment is there, then it would be, let's say, it would be a wasted opportunity or missed opportunity if we don't use our core capabilities, which is creating great and engaging virtual reality experience for the youth, not also leverage it in B2C. And so that's and we think that this iPhone moment is happening in the next 18 months. And that's why we're moving now from pure out of home to continually penetrating out of home plus in home.
Yes, but I understand that moment will be the enabler, but that doesn't explain how you will beat the competition, right? Because the competition will also have access to that enabler. It's a generic enabler, not specific to your company. And obviously the competition to get into the homes
will be fierce, and there will be major players pouring enormous amounts of money in that.
Exactly, that's completely true, and we want to become the leading player in that. So why we will basically become a major player, if I understand your question correctly,
Yes.
is because we have a head start, because we basically already 5 years in the market, already delivering VR to many millions of users, understanding what consumers want, and this core capability of creating engaging games. This we can now transfer from out of home to in home, and actually we have real life touch points with our customers, and which others don't. So basically, this is another synergetic point of offering out of home and in home, because essentially a real life touch point is the most valuable, and what we're aiming for is to, you can think of it, train with your VR experiences at home, but then compete or collaborate or learn more engaging in a social setup in out of home, in such a way that basically it's not either or, but it's more synergetic and complementary.
Your revenue is based on sales of systems.
Exactly.
So does that also result in recurring revenue?
Yes.
You mentioned in the deck that you have 2 patents. I'm not. What are the patents for?
A core difference between our B2B competition is throughput. And throughput, basically, you can think of a cinema, like a cinema. Obviously, the bigger the cinema, the more people you can get in, the more tickets you can charge per hour, and the quicker the ROI for the operator. Similarly, here, obviously, you want to entertain as many users as possible. And our patent, or our 2 patent families, are around sensor fusion. So you can think of it, the headsets, they have a local positioning system, if you will. So you track where your headset is relative to the environment. However, if you have 10 or 20 kids running around, that requires another degree of accuracy of tracking in 3D space. That's why we combine also outside in, so basically cameras on the ceiling, and that's real-time sensor fusion. This is what our patents do, and with this sensor fusion, we basically managed to increase the player density whilst keeping us health and safety confirmed operations.
What has been the retention of your customers?
We have a 0% churn rate. You can think of it, I mean, if you've invested 100K into the hardware, the content must really suck that you deinstall your system which you bought. So it is an investment good. So in year 1, you have to pay back in between 6 to 9 months. And then obviously you want to, as an operator, run it profitably. So the retention has been 100% on a B2B client point of view. And our global sales strategy is to aim at the biggest chains. So in order to scale as much as possible on the B2B side. So for example, the first client you have here, Urban Air, they're growing with 1 park each week this year.
I'm just thinking what could be kind of the main value source in the long term, right? And here it could probably be, I mean, if you were to execute on your vision, it could be probably the brand, right? Have you thought about franchising and actually developing more like a consumer brand, which doesn't look like to be so far? No?
Exactly, good point. So this is exactly feedback we got from investors so far, also along our fundraising journey, and that's why we adapted our pitch from last time when I was with Webital in June this year, where we were just raising for our B2B activities. We now see that indeed the brand is a valuable asset, and the brand touchpoints which we have with in real life with customers and consumers, and that's why we want to extend our brand presence from purely B2B2C to B2C directly in the next years.
Are you planning on pivoting in this direction? And another question for you: what's the addressable market as of today, as of your strategy? The total addressable market.
We have a very attractive and large enough market in front of us. global attractions market, and I'm currently, as we speak, in Orlando, which is basically, if you will, the global heart of this attractions market with the theme parks and so on being here. And within that market, we have a segment which is VR, and that segment has even grown throughout the pandemic, unlike many other segments. So we aim to keep our global leadership position there and basically focus on the family entertainment, because that's our niche. So basically non-violent virtual reality experiences for the whole family. And you can think of us from a branding point of view as Disney, so designed for kids, but also fun and engaging for adults. And in terms of your first question, we actually see at the same time a consumer market building up, which as this graph on the left-hand side shows, is about to become mature or mainstream in a way, which would be like a missed market opportunity if we don't go after that, given the fact that these consumers at some point might have had the first touch point with VR on our out-of-home entertainment locations, but then might want to also have our own VR headset at home, and we would like to become that mass market kind of enabler for this target market.
I'm fascinated you managed to getting a 50% margin here for a hardware product that's available. How do you sustain that? Is that sustainable going forward?
There are other players in this market, in the B2B market, which are having a software-only approach. So basically they say, okay, our B2B clients, they can get their hardware themselves and plug in the hardware. However, that's more, let's say, a do-it-yourself arcade kind of internet cafe segment, which doesn't have a lot of budget anyways. What we are aiming for is the proper funded cinema chains and the proper funded theme parks, shopping malls, which actually don't want to fiddle around with hardware themselves. They want to have one.
Yeah, but look, if I'm managing the budget, I'm running a mall, and my CTO or the entertainment person paid 50% margin on hardware, I fired them. So I just don't believe it's. I think you're doing brilliant to get that, and no one needs to know about that. And if you can package it up, brilliant. But I just think there's unless you're able to get bought-in trade discount from your supply, I can't see that margin standing over time. So that I see some erosion there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. I mean, as mentioned, there are other players basically are serving other segments of the market, and however, you can compare us in a way in a B2B setup. I mean, our clients, they want a full turnkey system, including shipping, installation, trading, and part of that is also having a margin on the hardware. I mean, if you buy your PC from, let's say, a Dell or IT company, they also have margin on the hardware, and you're happy to pay so because you get the full service.
Look, I hear you there. Look, I mean, I think the important says, you dial up your supply contracts and say, look, we're giving you volume here in a, maybe an emerging category, and it's but anyway, okay, it's an observation I make. Someone else talked about the pivot into consumer. Yeah, I've got to say, I worry about that as well. I think we've heard about the moment for mass adoption of the iPhone moment being 18 months away. It's been 18 months for maybe a decade. So I would probably say, 3 to 5 years away. So, but there's a lot of good in here, I'd say. I think you've got to make clear, I think what I've understood there is you're saying of 100% of all your customers, everyone's gone on to purchase the licenses, right? So they're continuing with your license fee, but in your deck it says 16% is recurring revenue. You should make it really clear 100% of customers have signed on to the license, and that's the component that's recurring. Is that correct, Jonathan?
Yes, so 100% of our B2B clients are still with us and paying annual subscription, roughly 10K per year, depending on the size of this.
That's phenomenal, and that's lost in the 16% recurring revenue.
Yeah.
So that's phenomenal. Look, I wonder if the consumer component becomes a little bit of a distraction, but echoing some of the points I think Peter made right at the beginning, if we can see more evidence of the kinds of games here in a competitive environment, that would be how you might convince people here. And also linked to the point that Bakhrom was making, the brand would look and need to feel like a consumer studio. And I think about, the feel of a studio that has an engagement with, a game like Clash of Clans, like needs to look and feel like that. And I'm thinking there's a little bit more work there needed maybe, but there's a lot to like here, Jonathan, really. I have to say that.
The moment of truth. Direct feedback from the jury.
Very impressive company. I think they have achieved already quite a bit in the, let's say, B2B business. I am concerned about the B2C business, and here I don't have a good feeling yet how that will be achieved, and essentially for the scalability of the company, it seems to be important.
There is one way of trying to think about going to home, but there is another way, is actually trying to grow the business in the current area, which may involve building a brand, right? Building a brand and kind of looking into maybe franchising, kind of looking at the comparables in the food industry, maybe, where the kind of how you price, how you fund the hardware, how you create a unique consumer experience. Maybe there can be a lot of learned and adopted in your case.
You've done a lot of work here across a wide range of customers and sold the hardware. I wonder if your focus is not maybe so consumer, because I think this 18 months of the iPhone moment could be 3 or 5 years. I wonder whether, because the hardware is installed, I love the idea that your customers are all engaged and paying license fees. By you creating more content for these existing customers, they could pay more future license fees. That's quite clever. What piece of content can we leverage across your existing customers, and you don't need marketing. So, but I come in, I'm consistent. I think you're doing a really, this is a tremendous achievement, Jonathan.
Thank you. Now it's time for the anonymized score from one of the jury members. All right. We have 3 founders, and we have the jury casted the votes for the 3 of them. We have started with Tennis Esport, 30 out of 60. Congratulations. Holo-Light made it to 35 out of 60. Congratulations. And Spree Interactive is the winner with 37 points. Congratulations, Jonathan. Great job.
It's definitely valuable feedback, and I hear basically more positive, let's say, feedback on our current B2B activities, and let's say some concerns whether we should just keep focus, keep doing what we're doing profitable already now, versus entering the B2C space. And I can understand that. However, as mentioned, I think that it's the right timing. I mean, we basically started with the B2B because there was no B2C opportunity. But anyways, I mean, I think it's valuable, and I'm thankful for, let's say, challenging my pitch, let's say.
thanks. It was great to pitch here and also to get good feedback. Also to see how I can modify the pitch to bring the message a bit more clearer. And also it underlines my point of view that especially with a technology like ours, it's really important to meet people in person and to have a try of the technology themselves. But thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having us. It was a great experience, and I think we got valuable feedback which we can work on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. That was the media and entertainment episode of Founders Games.